All right.
Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the BSP podcast. We got a little bit of a different one here because the Philadelphia 76ers are Super Bowl champions. Oh wait, no. Sorry. They're almost NBA champions as we move forward here. We have my Sixer correspondent here with me, Holden Heron. We're going to break down everything in the world of the Philadelphia 76ers and the NBA. But first, we had the Super Bowl the other night, and Holden is here with me. We're going to break that down a little bit. Our reactions after the game. We're recording right after the Super Bowl went down, and then we'll get into a little bit of Sixers talk as we move forward here. Holden, how are we doing, brother? I haven't heard from you on the podcast since the Sixers lost to the Atlanta Hawks. How you doing?
Yeah,
brother?
I'm doing great. I was actually just on your podcast yesterday on Spotify, and for some reason the episode came up. The Sixers are back, 6-5 with Holden Heron. It was a nice friendly reminder of, that was a nice one we did there. Nice little jinx. But I've been good, man. I've been good. I've been waiting for this Harden trade for a while, so it's been a good week.
Yep. Well, now for all the viewers out there, you can see both of our beautiful faces. If you're watching on YouTube at the BSP podcast, make sure you go subscribe, like the videos, comment, let us know who has the better mustache, Holden or I. Our facial game and facial hair.
I'm not even. Come on, man.
Real strong.
I shaved the other week. You out here playing with me. This
All
like
right.
a nice week's growing right here.
All right. Let's get into it here, Holden. Big game, the game of the year for the NFL, biggest game ever for the year, the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no.
Rams take down the Bengals in a good one. It started out slow. You had a couple touchdowns. You thought, all right, the over's definitely hitting at this point, but it finishes 23-30. The Rams come out on top on a late Cooper Kupp touchdown at the very end with 1:45 left. I mean, what were some of your reactions to this game here, Holden?
One, it was a great game. We saw some good offense, some good defense. The Rams defensive line obviously had a lot of great showings. The Bengals got some sacks. Bengals defense forced some turnovers, and they stayed in the game. But at the end of the day, the Bengals offense, I couldn't necessarily match the firepower, I guess, of the Rams. What was the final score? They didn't score
23-20.
I know that.
23-20. Bengals covered.
Yeah, I mean, only 43 points scored total. So, I mean, that's a low-scoring game. But they did cover, and
no, just for what the two teams have been doing this whole season, high-powered offenses. You had the one big play to Tyler Boyd to start the second half there, where maybe it was an offensive pass interference, maybe it wasn't. But
I saw that. He grabbed his – yeah, there were some people complaining about the refs because obviously there was another really questionable call on that 3rd and goal that the Rams had when it was like a minute and a half left. On the Cooper Kupp, he did a little out route, and they called holding, which made it 1st and goal, and it would have been 4th and goal. And it was a pretty ticky-tacky call, but, I mean, all things said, they didn't call a lot of flags all game, I feel like. It wasn't, like, overtaking the game. And I feel like, if anything, that's a make-up call for the face mask that wasn't called against Ramsey.
No, yeah, 100%. There was, like, 3 calls up until that very last drive for the Rams. And then all of a sudden,
there was a lot of flags at the end, but
yeah, there was 3 in a row, and you were just like, well, we had 3 all game. Now in the last drive here, they're gonna give it to the Rams. A lot of people might be a little salty about that, but 2 of them definitely earned when they had the holding call on the Rams, and then a pass interference or something like that on the Bengals where they offset. Yeah, that one fine, but the one that gave them the first down at the 1. Who knows? That's going to be the talking point moving forward here throughout the week. But the biggest thing for me was where coming out out at halftime there, the Rams go and they get, or not the Rams, the Bengals go get that big touchdown where maybe it was a pass interference on Ramsey, come back, get an interception the next drive, the next play, I believe, on the tip pass from Stafford.
Yeah, it was really soon. Yeah.
And then the Bengals weren't able to score a touchdown. I felt like if they scored a touchdown there, that gives them
this game a lot further out of reach.
Yes, big time. And that would have been a huge turning point, but they only settled for the field goal. And getting Aaron Donald involved there, getting that sack, the force, the field goal was an absolute game changer. And that's where I'm coming down to it here, where Aaron Donald gets 2 sacks, the big play at the very end of the game on 4th and 1. I feel like he got robbed for the MVP. What do you think about Cooper Kupp coming in and getting that MVP for the Rams for the Super Bowl?
I think I would agree with Cooper Kupp getting it because I think, especially when you consider OBJ going down with an injury in the first half, he kind of took over. Granted, Matt Stafford did a decent job. He had a couple picks, but he did a decent job spreading the ball out with OBJ going down to a lot of random guys. I couldn't even tell you the names of. I know there's some white dude named Hendricks. But overall, I think Cooper Kupp kind of taking the load on, especially that last drive where they scored with a minute 30 left. He had, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but had to have, I feel like, 4 or 5 receptions on that drive alone and the go-ahead touchdown. And he finishes the game with 9 receptions, 90 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
92 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yep.
I think it's interesting, though, that for the first time in a while, I feel like most of the time the Super Bowl MVP almost always goes to a quarterback, you know? And I feel like this year, the most of the talk was, is it going to be Aaron Donald or is it going to be Cooper Kupp? So I like the fact that award kind of got diversified this year.
Yeah. My biggest thing, I totally agree. I'm not that upset about Cooper Kupp getting it. I mean, the guy was their whole offense when OBJ went down.
Oh, yeah, no.
And all year he was their main offense, you know?
Yeah, there's no taking anything away from either Kupp or Donald. They both obviously played absolutely incredible.
Aaron Donald just had those couple plays that turned the tide. You know, I had a couple shekels on him, so I was, you know, a little biased. But, you know, when it comes down to the end of the day, yeah, it was a very good Super Bowl. Very, very good. It wasn't an instant classic, absolutely, you know, by any stretch of the means, but it was a great way to end a very competitive NFL season where you thought maybe the Bengals and Joe Shiesty were going to go down there and get that field goal to force overtime. What a great way.
It looked like they were going to do it for a second, bro. That 3rd and 1 call, just that run not getting there is just, you know, something that I think everyone was kind of preparing for them to get that first down, and they kind of already moved past that first down. And then all of a sudden it's 4th and a half a yard to go, and they try to pass it, but Aaron Donald was just too fast. He's right there already.
Dude, and that's going to be the biggest talking point for Cincinnati Bengals moving forward here. A town much like Philadelphia that hyper analyzes everything. They love their Bengals, and they're going to talk about that run call. I didn't hate it because you got the timeouts in your pocket. You've been running the ball well, gashing them. You had them dropping back. Aaron Donald just made
Mixon
a play.
Had a great game.
Yeah. And Aaron Donald just made a play, stuffed them. I thought the spot was bad. I thought they should have got maybe another half yard out of it. I thought they were short, but I think a full yard was a bit of a stretch. But then when it came down to it on 4th down, that pass rush just absolutely clamped the game, and Aaron Donald sealed it, just like they did the whole game.
Bro really never had a chance, Donald broke through the line.
All right, Holden.
A second.
Now, let's get back to my original point when I started off this episode of the BSP podcast. Make sure you go follow us on Instagram, Twitter, at BSP podcast, at Brendan Petrilli. Go follow Holden too. Holden's always throwing out some fire tweets. He's always a good laugh going back and forth with people at Holden Heron. Is that your handle, right? Or is it Hole Dizzle or what is it?
No, it is not. No, it is not. Halsey is Halsey Golf Dad. HOL. It's Halsey Golf Dad is my Twitter handle. HOLZIE.
If you couldn't tell by the polo he's wearing, he's a big golf dad. You know what I'm saying? You know.
Yeah, I can't have people search Holden Heron on my Twitter. The first thing come up on Google, so I had to change that. You know?
Gotcha. Halsey Golf Dad. Go check him out. But let's get into it now. The Sixers correspondent here. We were talking a little bit before we hopped on Zoom. The 76ers team brought in an MVP to play with the MVP.
A Hall of Famer to play with the MVP.
James Harden is going to play with Joel, Hans, and Embiid, and it's going to be a heck of a ride. We can't wait. Holden was talking about driving up from North Carolina for this game Tuesday night against the Boston Celtics. It's going to be fun. If he gets on that court, you saw the way Joel Embiid absolutely dominated a top five defense in the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are the number 2 seed.
Who are the
in
best
the East
big man
right
defenders.
Now, and absolutely put Jared Allen in a body bag. Absolutely put him in a body bag with one of the best dunks in his career, probably the best dunk of his career.
One of the dunks of the year for sure.
Hold, what are we looking for? What's your new expectation here? Me and you, we've gone back and forth about the NBA. You're big in the NBA. You know, you heard my last podcast. I was bitching a little bit about it. What's our What should
Yeah.
be our new perspective here moving forward with this team with James Harden?
I think we should be grateful that Daryl Morey took the shot that he needed to take. I think it was pretty clear before the trade deadline that this roster is good, and while Embiid is absolutely dominant, him and Tobias alone, with Maxey being the third best, would not be a dominant enough team to contend for a championship. So I think it was evident that we needed to make a move, and now we get to watch two of the most exciting players in the league do it together. We got Joel Embiid, who scores more points per minute than any NBA player in NBA history, paired with James Harden, who in his prime is one of the top 5 scorers in NBA history, arguably, and is still an elite scorer today.
Yeah, the biggest thing I think after that, you bring in Harden to pair with Embiid, but you kept Thibault, you kept Maxey to build.
That was the biggest thing.
Yeah, to be able to build with those guys on the rookie deals, to have them keep develop on your team, and say, God forbid, Harden doesn't work out, right? Maybe, you don't know. Reportedly, he was going to pick up his option for next year, but there hasn't been anything confirming.
I thought I saw something that he did.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But then I saw something else saying that it hasn't been official. But from what it seems like, he's going to be here next year. So you at least have this trial run this year to figure out, have Doc Rivers figure out how to use this line.
Shams Charania said, as part of the deal, new 76ers star James Harden is opting into his $47.3 million player option on contract for next season. Okay. So Shams tweeted it's probably good, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're good for this year and next year now moving forward. And having those young guys on the backside of that, if after this 2 years doesn't pan out, you still have Thibault and you still have Maxey at 23. He's younger than us.
Yeah.
He's younger than us, being able to develop and get even better, being an off-ball player, not having to be that on-ball point guard to move forward if James Harden doesn't work out. But in the meantime, now, as these two guys have grown over this past year, thank you, Ben Simmons, by the way. The only time I'm going to say thank you during this whole part was letting Matisse and Maxey be able to grow this whole past, 50 games at this point, letting them be the guys and figure out how to become NBA star players, because they're not there yet. But if Ben Simmons was on this team this year, they would not have had anywhere close to the opportunity or the role to get to where they are now.
Oh, absolutely. Especially Maxey and Matisse, because with Ben playing, they don't like to play Matisse as much because two guys that don't particularly shoot the ball well don't pair well. So you're right. If Ben were to have played this year, we wouldn't have got to see as much Matisse. And I think Maxey's a lot closer to being a star than we think, man. If he can keep hitting those threes like he has been and pull them with the confidence he has, he's got a lot of potential to be big.
So, Holden here, what are we thinking when it comes down to it? You have the Brooklyn Nets against the Philadelphia 76ers coming up March 10th. Number one, does Ben Simmons play? And number two, who's guarding who when it comes down to it with the new 2 starting lineups for both teams?
I like that, and I've actually thought about that because I've already been on 2K my league, with the new rosters, and I've played the Nets. I already beat them in the playoff series at SM2, so yeah, I got this handled, believe me.
Of course.
But so March 10th is a month from a couple days ago. Yeah, I think Patty Mills said that he's been talking to Ben Simmons regularly, and that he said he's been training and that he's a lot closer to being ready than people think. So I think he's definitely going to be back and playing NBA games by March 10th. And I think he almost has to play against us. If he, has a rest day or a load management day on March 10th against the Sixers in Philadelphia, he's going to get eaten up just for sitting out. He is. And I think if we do run these, so current lineups, I think you put Matisse on KD. I think you put Matisse on KD, and then I think you can have Maxey or Harden stick with Kyrie. I think Maxey's probably a better fit because he's a little quicker and more agile, on in and out cuts, and that's kind of Kyrie's game. Mm-hmm. And then I think you put Harden on whoever's playing the 3 pretty much. And I think, honestly, with Ben, I think you just put Tobias on because Ben Simmons isn't pulling up, so Tobias doesn't have to be out there guarding him up perimeter. He can still stay somewhat inside to contest guys that are cutting towards the rim. And when Ben Simmons comes in, Ben Simmons, he's a big guy and he's fast, but we've seen that he doesn't have that killer instinct to go at guys fearlessly. So it really doesn't matter. Obviously, you can't put someone small like Maxey on him because you could just put him in the post. But if you put a body on him like Tobias, who's big enough, if Ben Simmons isn't aggressive, then that's kind of doesn't matter. You keep Toby on him, you keep Joel locking down the center.
And what a
and you have
slap in the
Matisse doing
face that would be if Toby's guarding him and it's not Joel or it's not Harden or somebody like that, even Matisse, like just a slap in the
Harden,
face. Yeah.
they might
We'll
even put Harden on him.
Yeah. Right. Because
They
you
might even
have
put
other
Harden on him
problems.
because Harden's long enough.
Go ahead.
Harden's long enough. No,
Yeah,
I was agreeing. I just said they might even put a Harden on him because he's long enough.
Yeah, because when it comes down to it, Ben Simmons isn't your biggest worry. And that's when it comes down to, I think both teams win this trade. I think because the fit with Harden, with those two guys, it just wasn't there. Too many ball handlers. You knew it. That was the biggest talking point. There's only one ball, right? Now Ben Simmons goes there. He gives them the defense that they need. And you see this in the media, right? You see it all over. Everybody's talking about how the Nets won this trade. Ben Simmons can be that four-tool star for them.
I do love that. As soon as he gets traded, the media loves him all of a sudden.
Yes, bro. Dude, it's the definition of insanity. You and I were both prisoners of the moment with Ben. We would defend Ben left and right against all of friends and family members that are going after him. Ben can be the guy. He's got all the tools. He can do it. You can see it on the defense. All he's got to do is just get his shot a little bit. That's all he's got to do. He doesn't even have to shoot anymore, right? And then he goes and just slaps everybody in the face. It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's what's going on now again with Ben Simmons. And it's just great to not have that be our problem anymore. And now
I agree. And I say,
oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I do think both teams won the trade. I think the Nets got great compensation for Harden. They get in a top 3 defender in the league in Ben Simmons, a great shooter in Seth Curry, and a good rebounder, which they definitely needed in Andre Drummond. But I think the thing is I don't know if I like the fact that they even made a trade because I really think when you look at the year and a half the big 3 in Brooklyn had together, they played 16 games together, including the playoffs. Yeah. It's hard to say they really weren't a good fit for myself to say that because they really never saw what they could have been. Yeah. So I was surprised that they gave up and actually traded Harden. And I think it probably has more to do with Harden and Kyrie's personal issues because earlier in the year when it was just Harden and KD, things were perfectly fine for Brooklyn. They were the 1 seed. There was no reports of any dysfunction within the organization. Harden was happy. KD seemed to be happy. And then Kyrie comes back. KD goes out. So now it's not Harden and KD anymore. It's Harden and Kyrie. Harden likes to go to clubs. He's a party guy. He's a loose, he's a goofy guy. He's a fun guy. And Kyrie, there was the one report that before one of the games against the Cavaliers, Kyrie was lighting sage in the locker room because he said whenever he plays the Cavaliers, there's negative energy in the air. So he was lighting sage in the locker room. Report said James Harden was like giving this man a weird side eye because he was like just kind of weirded out by the fact that Kyrie was doing it. And Kyrie was like noticeably uncomfortable with James Harden being uncomfortable with him. And I think that probably played a decent role in it too because the Nets really fell apart really quickly this season. And it all happened when Harden and Kyrie had to play together instead of Harden and KD.
No, 100%. Dude, they were Kevin Durant's big toe away from going to the NBA Finals last year. When KD goes and shoots that 3 against the Bucks, he was his big toe.
And that was without Kyrie. That was without Kyrie and with James Harden on a bum hamstring.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. And for them just to go and blow it up. Crazy,
bro. I couldn't believe it. It could have been the greatest offense ever. It could have been. But
and
we'll
now,
never know now,
and now we get to reap the benefits of it. It's early still, but I can't wait. I'm gonna definitely want to have you on, and we're gonna break down some of these games moving forward here, moving up to the playoffs of how Embiid and Harden are able to mesh together and make this work, and hopefully go on an awesome run. Joel Embiid. We didn't even talk about him at all really today, where he just had a 40-point triple-double, first guy for the Sixers since Wilt Chamberlain. You hear of that guy ever before, Holden? Wilt Chamberlain?
Yeah. Whenever you're breaking records that were only ever broken by Wilt Chamberlain, you're in pretty good company.
Very good company.
Pretty damn
and then
good company.
The only other guy in the NBA to have a 40-point triple-double is the guy you just traded for in James Harden. You're putting those two guys together now. I mean, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I hope everybody out there is stay tuned in, locked into the BSP podcast here, as I'm going to be breaking it all down as we move forward, coming in to the next couple months. And the NFL has died down. The Super Bowl happened. It's over with. Eagles didn't make it, but the Rams come out and they are Super Bowl champions. I'm going to talk a little bit about later this week why the Eagles should follow the Rams and say, fuck the draft picks, go get a quarterback, just like the Rams did. So stay tuned as we move forward. I want to thank Holden again for coming on. Hopefully we have better juju than the last time we said goodbye to Holden for the Philadelphia 76ers here as we move forward.
Yeah, hopefully things go a bit better.
Yeah. Thank you again, Holden.
On, as always.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks everybody out there again for listening. Go check out us on YouTube, see our beautiful faces, comment who's got the better stash. And then go follow Holden Golf Daddy on Twitter and myself, Brendan Petrilli, and the BSP podcast.
Holden Golf Dad, yes, sir.
Shout out to the 215 and go Birds.